Today I'm going to talk about uncovering hidden talent. This would be the talk would be about finding people, finding how do you recruit people in Indonesia, and if you're interested in setting up a development studio or finding talent from Indonesia, I'm going to tell you about our experience in growing our own studio in a country where the game industry doesn't really exist. Okay, so let me tell you a bit about myself. My name is Kris Antoni, and I'm the CEO and co-founder of Toge Productions. And I'm also game designer, art director, and programmer. And I'm currently the International Game Developer Association coordinator for Jakarta. And so let me tell you a bit about Toge Productions. For those of you who didn't know, we are a small independent development studio focusing on Flash and mobile games. And we actually started as a student team. Myself and my friend there, Sudarman, he's the co-founder. Yeah, we studied in Australia for a year, and then we come back to Indonesia, and we decided, hey, let's set up our own development studio. So these are some of the games that we made so far. We've made over 18 games from different genres, from strategy, casual, to multiplayer and social games. And some of the achievements that we've collected so far, we won 2 awards from Flash Gaming Summit consecutively from different years. In 2011, we won Best Multiplayer Game for Planetary Conflict. It's an MMO social game. And in 2012, we win for Best Game Art for Necronator 2, which is a strategy game development Flash. Okay, so let me tell you a bit about my country, where I come from, in Indonesia. I believe some of you already know what the situation is like from other talks, but I'm just going to give you a reminder. So Indonesia is quite a huge country in Southeast Asia. We have 245 million population with an internet penetration about 55 million, more or less. And we do have a very deep mobile user base. A lot of people in Indonesia, they have mobile phones around. They don't have, the smartphone users are not very big because a lot of people are still using feature phones like old Nokia phones. But most of the phones, they use it for Facebook, Twitter, stuff like that. And we have a Facebook user, about 43 million users. And according to game publishers in Indonesia, we have roughly about 7 million hardcore online gamers. And just to add up, we have around 11 million users for Zynga's poker game from Indonesia. And I think Zynga have about 30 million monthly active users, and about almost half of them are from Indonesia. So what's the industry is like in Indonesia? Back in 2009, the internet user is only about 30 million, and there are not many game developers in Indonesia back then, but we do have several, about 15 companies publishing games that are licensed from Korea, China, and Japan, and they service those to Indonesian market. And the publishers earn a lot of revenue from the users. Back then in 2009, one of the top game was Ragnarok Online. It was very popular. A lot of kids playing the game, and even though the publishers have quite a success, it's not very on the developer side. It's not very well, because back then we have quite a few studios that are doing mostly outsourcing 2D and 3D arts for big companies like EA and stuff like that. But they don't have media coverage. The people in Indonesia don't know that there's an industry, a game industry in Indonesia back then. And it was very hard to find very good, game programmers because there are no training. There are no school that taught, game programming, stuff like that. And it's very hard to find, funding from investors or even from the publishers themselves. The publishers in Indonesia back then, they don't want to, fund local developers. They prefer to license from other countries because they think that the local developers, they don't have the experience, they don't have the talent for making a successful game. So they prefer looking for outside games from other countries. So back then, the top platforms that the developers used was Flash and PC. Flash is mostly because it's very easy to use and very easy to monetize. So and back then, there's only like about 20 studios, teams, and most of them are very small teams, like 2 to 3 people. But there was like 1 or 2 that is quite a big company. So from there, there's no games published by local publishers. So it's very hard for local developers to reach out the market. So yeah, just to highlight, back in 2009 there's no funding, so most of the developers, they have to be self-funded, and they have very hard difficulties in tapping into the local market themselves because they don't have the budget, they don't have the support from the government, and because most of them are also lacking experience. So how do we tackle this problem? I'm going to share you our experience in building a company just from two guys working in a garage and building it to a company that's now is about 12 people working with us. So in 2009 January, we quit our previous jobs. We used to work I used to work with a game company in Jakarta, and my friend Sudarmin, he used to work with a company from, I think it's from US, but he works remotely. So we quit our jobs and we founded Toge Productions. And we focus on Flash game because it's the easiest to tap into, and because we don't have any marketing budget to make a very AAA games. So we released our first game in March. It's a side-scrolling shooter game. I have a trailer here. I will show you guys just a moment. This was one of the first games that we made. It's developed just with only 2 people, 1 programmer and 1 artist. We decided to make something that is a lot of players already know how to play. So we built a side-scrolling shooter game with a zombie theme because we love zombies. And it turns out to be quite a success in the Flash game market. We're still seeing like about 15,000 users daily playing the game, even though the game is already like about 3 years old. So it's something that we're happy to see. We built a lot of fans. They love the game. They keep playing it, and the game is quite replayable, so they keep coming back. And in 2009, we decided it's time to grow our team. We look for friends that we already know, and we released a game called Infectinator. and it's quite successful. Infectonator is a casual game where you play as a mad scientist and you try to conquer the world by spreading a virus that turns people into zombies. This is one of our latest release. It's a sequel from the original Infectonator, but it still have the same gameplay mechanics. So basically, the players just have to tap, release the virus, and then they just watch the mayhem unfold. They just watch like people get eaten, cars blown up, and stuff like that. You can unlock new zombies. Yeah, we love watching zombies dance, don't we? Anyway, so after we grew our team to 4 people, we thought that okay, we can create more elaborate games. So we decided to make a AAA game. I mean not AAA, but social multiplayer game. We were kind of ambitious at the moment back then, and it turns out that our game, Planetary Conflict, won an award. And Infectonator also got a lot of reviews from a lot of websites and portals. So we create an impact that we never think of. So people like investors, media, and universities, they start taking notice about games that are developed from Indonesia. So we got universities, contacting us, give talk to students to, kind of boost their morale and tell them about the game industry. So we turned out to be inspiring new studios to come out, and we kind of grow Indonesia's game industry, not in a direct fashion, but people start taking notice about the game and stuff like that. So what we did was we approached universities and we give them we showcase our portfolio, and we try to recruit fresh fresh graduates. And it turns out, even though they don't have the experience per se, but it doesn't matter because they have a very they have the passion to learn, so they're very willing to learn. We give them training. So we recruit fresh graduates from universities, and it turns out they learn very fast, and because they already gamers themselves, they already have kind of a mindset on how to design games. So our team grew with new students, and it's a very good thing because now we can take bigger projects. We can take more ambitious projects, polish them out, make them look very high quality. And another thing is, in Indonesia, the living cost is quite cheap. It's about $200 to $300 per month to live, and with that kind of money, you can already living quite a well life. You can eat quite well. So the budget to build a studio in Indonesia is not very big. Okay, so aside from that, we also try to create a community of developers, and so we create an event that's kind of like a melting pot for investors, developers, startups to merge and come together, share their knowledge, get connected to each other, and grew the industry further. Okay. So We also try to build fan base from the international audience, because a lot of Indonesian developers, because we're having hard time to tap into the local market. What we did was we tried to look outside. So we target a global market using Flash games. So what we did was in our games we put up rewards like this. So after you play like 3 to 4 levels, it shows that the player is already immersed into the game. So we put up a link like this. So if you like the game, follow us on Twitter and Facebook, and you get rewards like 1,000 coins or something like that. And a lot of players love that, and they follow us on Facebook and Twitter, and we grew our fan base to about 180,000 users in just a few months. So we kind of get a free promotion from that also. Yeah, this is some of the data. We grew our Facebook fans, and with this kind of growth, a lot of people start, like I said before, investors and outside developers, they start taking notice of Indonesians' capability. So what happened now is that in 2012, the internet user is growing to 55 million people, and local online game publishers, companies, they grew also, and the top 3 publishers, they earn about $100 million per year, even more. And we also see a lot of change in the developer community. Back then, we only see a few programmers or game developers, and more of outsourcing 2D and 3D outsourcing teams. But now we're seeing that a lot of startups showing up in Indonesia, and they're getting, from their own experience in making Flash games, they kind of build their own experience, so they start making more complex, more polished games, and start moving to mobile and other platforms also. And we see now that a lot of venture capital, they come to Indonesia because they see the potential in the market. About 240 million population that have mobile in their hands, so it's a huge potential. And so a lot of investors coming in, they start funding small studios that have very good IP, very good ideas, game ideas, and so the community kind of grew, and we see a lot of fresh graduates. Back then, there's only a fraction of graduates that go to game development, but nowadays we see that a lot of university open classes for developing games. A lot of training that's given to students. So they're they build their experience, they build their skills, and now so now a lot of people are developing their original IPs, and the community grew to about 60 studios or even more, and that includes team above 60 people in one team, one company, and some are still in the maybe 10 people in a team, but the numbers keep growing, and a lot of people, because they are very passionate, they're quick learners, so it's very they can go very fast. But even so, we see a lot of growth. The local publishers, they still they don't really jump into the wagon yet, because they are still considering the risks and everything. So we haven't seen a local publisher releasing a local game, an online game yet, but there are a few currently in developing, and they're currently partnering with local developers and building new games. So this is our journey so far. In 2011, we grew our team to 6 people, and we won an award in Flash Gaming Summit, and we released more games, And in November 2011, we grew further to 12 people, and all of the members are fresh graduates, and we just train them. We work together, and yeah, it shows that they're very fast learners, and we can make games that are more and more complex. So some of the lessons learned is that from winning international awards, we kind of inspire other developers, other local developers to come out of the box, and we uncover potentials like human resource potentials in Indonesia, and also a game development cycle. From the local teams, they build their own resources, like art assets, codes, and everything that can be reused and can be serviced for other companies for outsourcing jobs and stuff like that. Okay, so yeah, that's what I can give you for today. If there's any questions. Yeah.
In terms of key areas of strength, which platforms are you seeing emerge?
Yeah. In terms of strength, a lot of developers, they come from a Flash development background. So Flash games are definitely one of the top platforms that a lot of developers use. But nowadays we see a lot of developers building mobile games using like iOS and Android. If I would rank them, I would say the first would be Flash games, and then the second one would be iOS, and then mobile Android games. Any more questions? Yeah.
Do you have a full-time community manager?
For my company? Not really. I handle most of the community management myself. I reply to comments on Facebook pages personally, and basically a lot of everybody in our team, they can contribute in managing the community. Any other questions?